If you want to take up space in people's heads, then the truth is that you also have to take up space in the world with the marketing that we do. Because the amount that people see and hear from brands is a really strong proxy for how we think about brands, particularly who is bigger, who is better, who is more suited to me. And so the structural aspect matters a lot. You see, we've come to think about marketing through the lens of precision. We want to hit the exact right audience at the exact right time based on all these wonderful signals that tell us they're ready to buy right now. And we want to hit them with the fewest possible touches necessary to get them to buy. And that sounds great, but that's just not really how people buy anything considered. They're going to weigh lots of different variables, which ones they hear about the most, which ones they see the most, which ones their peer groups talk about the most, which ones sponsor the most events, which ones win the most awards. All of these things add up to perception, and our perception tells us which ones we should choose based on all of these different variables. One really well-targeted ad doesn't offset all of that noise that your competitors are making to create those perceptions. And this is also where a lot of those programs that are very over-indexed on performance tend to fall far short. There are only so many people who, when they come in market, are willing to respond to a relatively unknown entity coming in last minute going, hey, I have something interesting and in all likelihood probably very discounted compared to all of the other options out there. The truth is the vast majority of people are going to be making their decisions based on lots of these different things that they've picked up over time, based on the share of voice that all of the options out there have presented. Now, it's also worth saying that of course there are times when you simply can't take up a bigger share of voice than your competitors. There are always incumbents who have deeper pockets, they have more market share, they have all of these benefits that you can't compete with. And that's okay, that's the reality of the market. But there are things that you can do to take advantage. Sometimes there are underserved segments who might be spoken to by your competition, but really at a surface level. It's things that are generally relevant to them, but you could go much deeper. You could talk to them far more directly and far more often, while your competitor is trying to talk to a much bigger market. There's also communities that you can over-represent on. This is a lot of where brands have grown on places like LinkedIn and TikTok, where you have a meaningful segment of your audience who spends a meaningful amount of time in one place, and you spend time there too, more than your competitors. A lot of the big brands haven't caught up to this sort of community marketing, where there are brands who occupy a lot of space and contribute heavily to places on Reddit, where they get to own a bigger share of voice than competitors who are often a much, much bigger entity than them. Same happens on LinkedIn. This is what a lot of this is right here. But the truth is that that also means you have to put in effort. It's not just about looking bigger than you are, it's about being bigger than you are. You have to put in the effort to take up that space, whether that's in an isolated pocket or whether that's broadly across multiple channels. But at the end of the day, share of voice is a structural thing. It is how people make decisions, it is how they form consideration sets, and it is not a once and done effort. It is not a moment in time, but rather a sustained effort over time.